Hi, this is Subarctic Beekeeper, one of the many. We finally got a day without rain. I'm on a very small farm north of Fairbanks, Alaska. If you want more info about us, you can look on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We keep bees south of the Arctic Circle. So it's called Subarctic, about 200 miles south, I think. And very tough environment. We got stuff going on up here. We got stuff going on, we got stuff not going on. We just had a whole week of rain and gloomy skies, which is unusual for us. We have gorgeous, clear, beautiful aurora skies, starry skies, clear skies, you name it. But for the last week, and on and off throughout summer, we've had gloom and rain and cold wind, real cold wind. Hasn't got to freezing yet. But we are at the end of August, and we are still in a pollen dearth, which means there's not enough pollen and nectar in the environment, so we are feeding our bees. Pollen substitute, I've got some right here in this container. Make sure you don't use a clear container. Pollen substitute contains fats and protein and sugar syrup, which is a carb, quick energy. It contains all kinds of good stuff in it. I have done some different things with what I'm feeding the bees based on a study done by the Honeybee Health Coalition, or a report that was issued in January of this year. I have a bee on my finger. She's looking at me and I'm looking at her. And she's got pollen in her pollen pocket. She looks really young, but wasn't using her leg. Regardless, I have been adding things that I have not added before based on the research done by Honeybee Health Coalition. I've also been adding Hive Alive throughout the summer. So two major changes. I've been getting a lot of brood. The Super Hive, I think, has produced at least 50 full deep frames of brood this summer. And our summer is short. It's typically May to beginning of August. It's increased by 30 days in the 30 years I've lived here. Global warming is hitting us 3 times, I think, faster than everybody else. There's a big report on it that you could look up. I don't know what's going on. I know that's going on. However, our temperatures for the whole month of September are supposed to be in the 60s. That's great. It's unusual. It doesn't look like we're even going to get down to freezing until late October. This is not normal. Typically, our Halloweens are way below zero, and you bundle your kids up for survival, and you drive from house to house. Kid runs out, kid runs back in the car. Kid runs out and back in the car. And you buy costumes that look like marshmallow men, because you've got to fit all your gear into the costume. The last couple of Halloweens we've had hardly any snow, and temperatures warm enough where you could walk freely up and down the streets of the neighborhoods. So we have this weird temperature vortex going on. I just saw some new wild roses blooming. They bloom in June. They were done in June. I just had 3 come up today. I had a second blooming of the roses I planted. They're typically an early bloomer. They just started blooming again. Our fireweed has been gone, and typically fireweed is what signals us to put everything away, hunker down, start eating some serious carbs, and get ready for winter. Our fireweed has been gone for weeks. Some people up in the higher areas have some, but mostly not. As you know, I planted for bees, and so we've got clover and borage and yarrow and goldenrod and what else we have out there. All kinds of good stuff for them to eat, because the natural sources of nectar and pollen are the best for them nutritionally. Our bees right now should be putting on some fat, so to say. We need fat bees to get through winter. That means we need the bees to be putting up reserves based on a 2-to-1 sugar ratio that they put up, similar to honey, but it's not honey. Well, that's not happening. Our queens should have slowed down in their laying, and they haven't. Not here, and I'm north of Fairbanks. Anchorage is a good 7-hour drive from my place, straight south. So a whole lot of new problem solving is being done. and maybe a whole lot of giving up by some beekeepers. We've got varroa mites, of course, right? Who doesn't? But now we've got wax moths. What the hell's a wax moth? Never had wax moths before. This year, wax moths. We don't have hive beetles. We don't have fall brood. We don't have any of the other weird things. We do have the stuff that varroa spreads, of course. And we'll continue to have that. And so I am feeding my bees sugar syrup in a 1 cup of sugar to 1 1/3 cup of water ratio to feed the queen so she keeps laying. Because I don't know how long this is going to go on. We're not seeing any snow anytime soon, and we should be kind of eyeballing when it's coming. Please tell all those ladies that use lots of hairspray, please stop with the hairspray and the aerosol things, please. We're going to be in big trouble. And I'm not obviously the first one to say that. I think that we are going to end up being the next breadbasket. We have a lot of new farms in the last 10 years, most of them owned by women, most of them under 5 acres, most of them in the interior of Alaska, which is where we are, which is north of the Alaska Range, but south of the Brooks Range. So what am I doing today? Well, I've got frames that have been spun that have honey residue on them that need to be cleaned up by the bees. I don't want to attract any wasps though. Oh, the wasps. Bald-faced hornets, yellow jackets are the 2 big ones. They will hover around the hives waiting to pick off the bees. We don't want that. So I am going through the hives, probably tapering down my hive inspections to not be so often. I'm going to put some deep boxes on some of my hives with frames that are empty but still have residue so the bees can come up, remove that extra residue and pack it in the frames down below. I probably have a couple frames of honey to harvest yet. Typically I get between 40 to 45 gallons of honey. This year so far I've got 10. Lots of brood, lots of wax, queens that are kicking ass, hardly any honey. What to do, what to do. We've got to figure it out. My bees are happily buzzing along, which is great because our temperature's kind of warm and we're not raining like we have been. We're a desert climate. Our precipitation is supposed to be in the form of snow, but we're getting all this rain. I wonder if we're even still considered a desert climate. So I'm going to go through this hive. I've gone through it before. I call it my hippie hive because of all the beautiful colors. And it's easy if I give my hives names. I can track them better. Got my smoker going. Over here, it's just been going. Full of moose poop and birch bark. It's going hard, huh? I've got 5 gallons of syrup. I've got some Hive Alive fondant. I just had to order another case. I do not want that to be what I put in the hives when they're closed up for winter because it has too much moisture in it, which will cause them to have to defecate. So I'll feed them that until I put them up. They love it. Got my bucket, my bee bucket. Got the dog. She's watching out. And I've got you. Here we go. I'm going to check, see what's happening in this hive. This gal here, up here, they're packing up the pollen substitute, and I keep repeating myself, just like my mother. It's something that we can't avoid. As women, we all become a little bit like our mothers. I'm looking at the syrup, and there's a lot of syrup in here, surprisingly. I would have expected that this syrup would be gone by now. I have a large bee trying to climb up this plastic insert. And I'll take it out and show it to you. This is the insert that goes in the front of the feeder, and the bees will climb up here, go over a plastic lip, and then go down. For the heck of it, I'm going to smoke them. Because I got a couple dead ones in there I want to get out. I want everyone to have access to this syrup. It's a good, quick energy source, and it's got vitamins and minerals and all that good stuff. And I want my hives to be super healthy. I'll sacrifice the honey for the health, for sure. What's most important here are the bees. Over the years, my focus has become more on the bees than producing honey. I've got an extra lid here somewhere. I've used it. I'm going to put this feeder on that table, if I can get to it. I have a plastic queen excluder in this hive. I usually use metal. I had to order some more because the bees were producing so much propolis and so much wax that they were building up between the top frames and the queen excluder, so that I had nowhere to put food, the pollen patties and the fondant, because it was just too full. So I was having to scrape down the metal queen excluders, which is a pain in the butt. Hopefully the plastic ones will be easier. I'm going to open this feeder, check for propolis. There it is. You hear the crack. Check on the population. It's quiet. I bang that to get the loose bees off the feeder so that they don't get squished. What do I see? I can probably tilt this and show you. Hopefully I don't have bad luck and dump the whole hive out. This hive doesn't have much weight to it. So, honey super. You can see some bees there. I've got my mite board under here I need to check. I know there's been some furrow in my hives, found it in some drone brood. They're just so beautiful, aren't they? Alright, I love to watch them. I want to scrape off the extra burr comb. I want them to clean off the deeps I have full of frames that need to be cleaned for winter. In this honey super, there's not one frame of capped honey. So they are not getting enough of what they need to make the honey. And I'm a little surprised. However, we have had some cold temps and some real rainy days. And even though I use a bee that will forage on those rainy days, it has not been enough. There hasn't been enough time. Ironically, now we have enough time, but we don't have the forage. That's the glitch. You know what else? Is there aren't many people up here that study insects. We're a big mammal state. Polar bears, grizzly bears, brown bears, wolverines, caribou, moose. We don't have snakes. We're not big on the reptiles or the creepy crawlies. But as far as honeybees go, there's not a lot of research, if any. There is some out of Canada, thankfully, and out of the other countries that we have to rely on. But we need more up here for sure. Especially as we get hit by global warming. It's coming your way. A little slower than us, but it's coming. So I'm going to move this honey super to the side. I'll put a little table here, it's easier. And I've got honeybees across the top of my queen excluder looking for food. How do I know this? Because I take pictures whenever I do something so that I can record it on my beekeeping tracking app. And I was in this hive a couple days ago and added a pollen patty and some fondant as well as syrup. This queen excluder is not glued down with propolis. Now I'm concerned. I've got a tote over here, big blue one. I'm going to put this queen excluder in the tote so I don't lose any of these bees. Alright, right off the bat I see that this hive should probably be in a nuke box. This hive has got 10 full frames of bees plus bees all over every frame in the super. This hive has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 frames of bees. I've got a 7-frame nuke that would suit this hive real well, and the benefit would be that it'd be easier for them to keep warm. Do I want to do that? It disappoints me because I want this colony to be growing. We've got a queen in here Although we've had cold days, and if it's cold in there, she won't lay. So I'm going to investigate a little more. I do have an extra nuke hive to the right of me. So if I want to switch them, it'll be a pretty easy switch. I'm going to drive the bees down with this smoke. I've had some queen issues this year. I've had some great queens this year. Queens from last year, kicking butt. Queens from this year, had a couple of them that are doing good. I've had some absconding from a couple of queens from last year. Replaced a queen from this year. She absconded. They're probably just quitting. Like, too much rain. Had some wax moths. If you haven't had them, they seem not too harmful, but they look like mold, little strings of spider webby moldy stuff, and little tiny dots. It looks like someone sprinkled sugar in the colony, in the comb. I don't see any of that here, thank goodness. I've got a frame that is pretty much empty. And on the back, comb has not been drawn out. I do have a supersedure cell right here. Tiny bit of honey. My guess is they've been eating honey on the cold days, putting that in my tote. I usually, like I said, usually go right to left. I'm going to go left to right right now because the bees are all concentrated on the right. I'm just going to remove a couple of hives that will allow me to move things around to see everything. I don't need to take them all out unless I do see something that gives me concern. Well, I've got some bees. They're moving slow. I'm not happy about this. This is what happened to the colony that I took to the peony farm, which is now as good as dead. And I've replaced that queen 4 times. Tell me if that ain't a bugger. Slow moving bees, no nectar, no pollen. I do see little particles that look like someone sprinkled sugar in the frames, but it's not like I've seen on the other ones that have the wax moth, so I'm not sure. And beekeeping is all about what you've seen and what you learn, and you've got to have stuff to go back to so that you're familiar with what's happening. I want anything that can cause any problems out of all of my hives. I always do. However, you know, summer comes, stuff happens. I'm moving slow. They're real docile right now, which is unusual. It means they're either hungry or they don't give a rat's ass. Alright, I've got a queen catcher clip in my pocket in case I see her. I want to grab her to make sure I don't lose her. I've got some honey on this frame. About half honey, half nectar. I'm going to take it. So what I'm going to do is I can brush the bees off or I can bang them off. They're pretty docile. So I'm going to find my brush that I just washed after looking in the big hive this morning. Got sticky. And I'm going to brush them down. What this does is it agitates them. It gets them flying around. That's not what I want. Whereas if I just do the bang the frame method, they go down. I prefer that method. Okay. Sorry. Brush the remaining. That way we're not sitting here for 20 minutes. Quick, non-invasive. I've got a container to put this frame in, so I can put the lid on real quick. Where's my container? My container's under the camera. Oh. Ah! what are my options? My options are, number one, I need to get this frame out of here because they're gonna come for it. One good option would be to put it in another box that I can cover. So I'm going to use that little nuke hive, small nuke hive, just a box. And I've got, I'm going to keep this in the video because this is what happens. I'm going to put it over here. Got it over by my super hive. You saw the way. These bees got more honey in here than anything else, as far as I can see right now. Back to it. I recently learned that if there's no brood, larva, pupa, etc. in the hive, the bees will concentrate on making honey because there's nobody to take care of, essentially. I've got on this frame pollen, honey, lots of bees, bees moving slow. I'm looking for eggs and larvae. There's the ring of honey along the sides that's accessible for hatching brood. I do see some brood on this frame. Some worker brood, that's good. The queen is here. I think she's slowing down. I think we got a case of the slowing down, just like the other hive. A little bit of slowing down. I'm going to check in here because there's a bunch of them on the wall and I really want to make sure she's in here. If I can. I also want to clean off, oh, here's a bald-faced hornet right here. Trying to pick off the bees. Going into the hive. Let's get them out of here. Alright, so I need to stop taking my time. I need to remove this burr comb so it doesn't take up space. Let's keep that wasp out of here. I've got another frame of brood I see in here. Good, good. I wish I could take a picture, but I can't because my camera's being used to make this video. So I'm going to go quickly because that wasp, I'm sure has a whole family that's hungry right now for my juicy bees. Lots of brood on this. Lots of brood on both sides. So the queen is in here. She's laying. Good brood pattern. She's not slowing down, apparently. Alright. I'm going to put a entrance reducer on this hive. Keep out the cold air. I'm also going to put a wool army blanket over it for extra insulation. I like wool army blankets. They absorb moisture, they provide warmth, and they help retain warmth. And army blankets that are pure wool will wrap around a hive real nicely and help everything stay warm. It's interesting this colony is moving so slowly when it's got so much going on. Haven't found the queen yet. Got some more brood in here. Some drones. Ooh, lots of brood. I think this is a green queen. I see some larvae. That's great. I want to take off this drone comb on the bottom. Drone comb is a magnet for varroa. They like the juicy drone pupa. Mating season is done. We don't need these drones. We don't need no stinking drones. But we do need all this brood. I'm anticipating this hive producing a lot of winter bees. It is lightweight. And like I said, there's some empty frames in here. I need to really make sure they are getting what they need, because it just isn't enough to offer them in the environment. Oops. Oh, I hate the crunch. I hate the crunch. I've got another frame here with larvae. I see eggs. I don't see the queen. I got some brood. And I've got some drone comb. Sorry, mates. Just going to pull that off. And it's actually got some drone larvae in it. So I want to save it because I want to inspect it for mites. It's easier than running a mite test. Got lots of drone comb along the bottom of this frame. Don't know if you can see it or not. I'll keep an eye on that. It's starting to rain. For the love of God, not again. It's a cracking sound on the birch. So I'm going to speed this up as much as I can. Here it comes. I have no protection for this hive right now. They're going to get wet. I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I see another full frame of brood. That's awesome. I see another full frame of brood. She's kicking ass. Okay. We're good. We're good. I'm going to put this back together. I did take one frame of honey. I got a couple frames over here that don't have any brood on them, and I'm going to take a chance and put an empty frame. No, I'm not. Yeah, I am. I'm going to put this empty frame that has nothing on it in between frames that have bees on it. See if they'll draw out that comb. And I'll put that other frame right here. I did take that honey frame. I've still got the honey super to deal with that I haven't dealt with yet, but I need another empty frame. See if they draw this out. It is on the end, and they tend not to draw those out, but maybe. Alright, I want to get the queen excluder back on. I want to get some food in here real quick. Got my pollen patties right here. I did not ball it up ahead of time. I should have, although there's no prediction for rain today. Our weather, it's nuts. So I'm going to put this, we've got, what, 5 frames of brood? I don't want to rush so that I'm careless. I don't want to disrupt them more than they already are. But I'm going to set them up in case we get another 5 or 6 days full of rain. So I was wondering if this hive was going to make it or not. And actually I want them to clean up some frames for me and for them. They are moving slow, so I'm going to add some liquid for them. Oh, works better in the squeeze bottle. Put some fondant on there. Sticky, gooey fondant. Hard to work with. Worth it. Worth the pain in the butt. Because they love it. I'm going to put a deep on this hive. We got lots of brood that's going to be hatching out. I'm going to put the queen excluder on, and I'm going to put a deep on of frames that need to be cleaned. And I'll put that honey super on top of that deep box. Alright, quick but not quick. I make little thumbprints in the fondant and the pollen patty, and it makes it easier to pour a little bit of liquid on there. Give them a little bit of juice. Don't want to get the bees wet. Okay, next is my queen excluder. I want to smoke them down. They want to get right on that food. I need them to go down so that I can put the queen excluder on them without squishing them. And then, let me grab a deep box. See, this queen excluder goes right onto the fondant and the pollen patty. Got a deep here. I want to add to the top so they can clean it off. Make the most of whatever's left on these frames. And as I look at them, I don't think there is very much on those frames. Hey, I'm back. It started to rain, so I finished up. I added another deep box here, full of frames that have been spun that had honey residue. I want the bees to clean those off. Take any remaining honey down into the brood chamber. I put the honey supers back on in hopes that they will cap them. Added some feed and strapped up this hive. Done. I actually added another box to this nuke, also of full frames that had been spun out already that I needed them to clean up before winter. So that's it for today. Take care of yourselves, take care of your bees, take care of each other. Root for Ukraine. This video is copyrighted and all rights reserved. Thanks for watching. See you later.